Hello and welcome back to the Common Colt Podcast, a Colts podcast with real takes and no clickbait. I'm Josh Hudgens, joined by Dan Hertzler. Dan, what's up?
I'm doing good, man. We got the combine recap. A pretty big weekend here for the Colts. A lot of stuff to talk about. Hey, we know, some of this stuff is kind of workout warrior stuff, and the tape says a lot, but you can't ignore it. And there were some big movers and shakers this weekend, and so we're excited to talk about that. But first, we got to talk about, hey, thank you guys out there for, hitting that subtotal. We hit 1,000, man. We're excited about that. Hey, just two guys that are just, love talking about the Colts and wanted to do this. And so pretty big milestone for us. We want to say, hey, thanks a lot. And if you're new to us, hit that sub because we're going to get a new milestone coming up here.
Yes, sir. Well, hey, let's talk what everybody likes to talk about. Football and quarterbacks, baby. That's our first recap of the mini recaps we're going to talk about. And this is the first positional recap. And obviously, in my opinion, watching the combine, watching tape of these different quarterbacks, I think it's 1 and 2. There's 2 quarterbacks who stand out, and then the rest. And for me, it's C.J. Stroud. And we didn't get to watch this guy in the combine, but I still think it's Bryce Young. And then far back, number 3 is Anthony Richardson, just because of his athleticism. And number 4 is Will Levis. And I think Will Levis... His arm didn't pop out as much. He said he was looking forward to throwing the combine because he's got this cannon for an arm. I know he had a big arm. I know he threw it far, but I didn't watch his throws thinking like, oh my goodness, this guy's got the biggest arm in the world. So Will Levis didn't impress me all that much.
Yeah, I think what you hit it a nail on the head there. The two guys, third and fourth, Anthony Richardson and Will Levis, both athletic guys. Anthony Richardson just blew the charts out as far as athleticism at the quarterback position. But you really got to go to the tape. And both of them had some shaky things in college where it's not just who they're playing with. It's not just, the stats they put up, but it's some of the reads, some of the decisions, whether they're late game, heroics, any of that kind of stuff that would make me really concerned for the Colts. I think we could still pull it off if we had to. And then you got to pair them with kind of a veteran quarterback because I don't think either of those two are going to start day one. I think C.J. Stroud and I think Bryce Young both can start day one. They're instantly the starters. So for Colts, I think those two guys separated themselves. Hey, C.J. Stroud, he looked great throwing the ball, and he is smooth and he is big. He's got all the tools. So I'm definitely on the Bryce Young, C.J. Stroud train.
Yeah, and I can't wait for Bryce Young's pro day when we can see that boy whip the ball around. Obviously, looking at receivers, that's another position of need for the Colts. We have Michael Pittman, but after that, it's kind of like, okay, Alec Pierce is showing some potential, but after that, it's a little sketchy. Who do you think, and what are you looking at when you're seeing these receivers?
Well, first off, we got to kind of identify the Colts' need, and we both think that they need the slot. So that's a different position than some other receivers that play. And so you got to kind of watch that. Okay, is this an X receiver? Is this a Z receiver? The Z is that slot. And they're not going to get one in the first round. So the top guys are right off the board. I think you got to look at the next tier. And there's 4 names that we kind of want to share with you. Josh Downs, kid out of North Carolina. I think he looks really good. That's the kid you like. Yeah,
I like that Josh Downs kid. And he didn't run as fast as I thought he was going to, 4.48. But he looks smooth. And even Adam Thielen, I was watching NFL Network, and Adam Thielen's like, hey, Josh Downs is route running. How he moves in and out of the breaks is crisp. And I think that's the kind of thing you're looking for in a slot receiver, a guy who can run good routes, and a guy who in college took the ball after the catch and got yards after. I know he's not the fastest guy, but he can still be a playmaker without having, off the top of my head, like a Percy Harvin type of speed.
Yeah, you look at, across the NFL, there are these guys, like you said, they're just not going to win the 40, but they're going to win the first 10 yards. And so that 10-yard split is really important with these slot guys. There's a kid, Tyler Scott, out of Cincinnati, looks pretty good. Marvin Mims out of OU looks pretty good. And then Nathan Dell. It's really intriguing. Super light, 165, but he had the fastest 10 split on the 40 of any receiver. And so it's kind of intriguing there. To me, Josh Downs is the guy that I would love to have in the second round. I think that's a good fit for the Colts.
Yeah, no, exactly. Especially pairing that young guy up with the rookie quarterback. You've seen it with the Colts when they had Andrew Luck, and then they drafted T.Y. Hilton later in that draft. And these rookies, they get a lot of reps together and they just kind of form a bond. So I would like that too. Moving on to the offensive line, Blake Freeland's a guy who you had mocked to the Colts, and a guy who kind of had a good combine as well. He's kind of known for some of his pass protection over at BYU. Checked in at 6'8", 302 pounds, long arms, and from some of the reports and from some of the experts are saying that he looked good in the drills. He was moving well. Not like he was tripping over his feet. So that's encouraging for a guy who we might be able to get in the third, trade back in the third round, maybe, and get him later in the third round.
Yeah, to me, I think he might have had too good of a combine to last the third round. He might be a guy that just would have to be a second round pick. And I'm not too much of a fan of getting that tackle in the second round pick. So it's got to be, and we talked about, the idea that some of these guys do so well in the combine that their stock moves up too high and they're just unattainable for where the Colts are going to be picking. He's a guy that I think, unfortunately, might just be too good. He's probably a second round kind of talent that, hey, if he's there in the third, that's great. There is a guard at UCLA, though, John Gaines, I think his name is, or Gans, that, again, could be another potential, could potentially move to another position. And so, we just got to keep an eye on some of these third round talents that will be there in the third round. But we also got defensive guys. There's some defensive players out there that I know that have caught your eye. You're still high on the Notre Dame kid?
Yeah, I like Isaiah Foskey. He didn't blow things away at the combine. As I'm looking at the Colts and I'm looking at their roster and their biggest needs, I'm starting to wonder if defensive end or edge, where that's going to fall. I think quarterback's got to go first round. And then when you look at second and third round, you're probably thinking, okay, one of these guys is going to be a lineman and one of these guys is going to be a receiver. I don't know which, but so the defensive pick is going to be tough. You're looking at a fourth round guy maybe. That's where I kind of pencil Isaiah Foskey in, and that's why I had him there. I don't think he really impressed too much at the combine, but he didn't embarrass himself either.
Yeah, I still like the kid out of TCU, the cornerback, Tomlinson, Trey Tomlinson, I think his name is, or, the nephew of LaDainian Tomlinson. He actually won the Jim Thorpe Award in college as the best cornerback. He's undersized, 5'9", so he's not ideal, but maybe a good nickel cornerback. And so I don't know if they would reach in the third round, but maybe a fourth round. So again, as we start working through this and free agency is going to dictate some of the stuff. If they go out and get an edge guy or if they go out and get a receiver, maybe that pushes that need further down and then something's going to move up. But there's definitely some movers and shakers and not just the top guys and the quarterbacks, but we got to look at the other positions. These are some names that you should be paying attention to.
Yeah, and one last guy I want to highlight is Keely Ringo out of Georgia. 6'2", 207 pounds, big, long cornerback, ran a 4.36. Listen, Ballard likes guys that are big in stature and athletic. I think he fits that mold. And let's face it, Kenny Moore, he's been rumored to be traded. Stephen Gilmore could be a trade or cap casualty in general. Just something to think about.
I think all of this it's going to start playing itself out. Again, free agency is about a week away. Then you have some of these pro days. You'll start seeing a little bit. I know there's some rumors about some of the Colts, whether they'll re-sign some of their guys. Bobby O, a guy you really love there. It's kind of getting rumored that he might get priced out of a Colts contract. So that stuff will happen, and that might change a little the direction where the Colts go. But the combine is an important step in this, and I think there are some really good things to watch out of it. Yeah, no, for sure, guys. Let us know what you think. What do you thought of the combine? Is there anybody that popped out to you? Put that in the comments below. And again, guys, thanks for watching our show. And until next time, thanks for watching the Common Cold Podcast.